Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, interesting stuff coming out of the welterweight division. We got your boy, Showtime Shawn Porter. He's given his account, as you can see on the screen, of a fight that was a pretty fun fight to watch back in September in LA between him and Errol Spence Jr. It was a unification fight, so it was obviously a high stakes fight. It was very important for the welterweight division. And as the Italians would say, look at this freaking guy. Look at this freaking guy, Shawn Porter. Because I'll be honest with you, I like Shawn Porter. I would consider myself a Shawn Porter fan. I mean, as I am an Errol Spence fan. I like him, and I've been following him his whole entire I've been following him for a long time. And I knew in this fight that he was gonna be tough. Like a lot of people at that particular time were talking about Shawn Porter as if he was this nobody fighter that Errol Spence was just gonna walk through. And if you've really been following Shawn Porter and paying attention to how he treats fights and his demeanor seemed a bit more serious going into the build up of this fight. And I thought Shawn Porter was going to treat this fight a lot like his own personal legacy fight. And because he was gonna like pretty much have that extra attention to detail and intensity in the gym, I just thought that even if he lost, there was no way that Errol Spence was going to walk through him, because Shawn Porter's a tough dude. I mean, when we talk about Shawn Porter, we're talking about a guy that when he was in the amateurs, I mean, this guy fought Alexander Usyk, and he beat Alexander Usyk. And none of these guys walked through in the amateurs, and he's fought a who's who of guys in the pros, and nobody's walked through him. And even though I think Errol Spence is a fantastic fighter, I don't think he's fantastic to the point where he's walking through as Shawn Porter the way people had expected him to. So Porter gave his account of the fight. We will read the quotes and we will dissect it piece by piece, brick by brick, as we do here on True School Sports. But here's what Showtime Shawn Porter had to say in regards to the fight with Errol Spence Jr. He said, I quote, "I thought I beat Errol Spence. When I heard the split decision, I thought it was going to be a split draw. I really did think that I beat him. I know I gave him a boxing lesson, and if rematch is there for me, I would love to do it." As many of you know, the judges scored it. Two of the judges scored it 116-111, and one of them scored it 115-112. He then went on by saying, I quote, "The fight with myself and Errol Spence Jr., I think a lot of people thought that he was the guy who was going to, put me out. I think, first of all, let me say that he's another one of those great fighters who just knows what to do. He knows how to do it and can get really down in the ring. But I knew some things about myself that not many other people know. And I think that one thing about me is I don't shy away from a challenge. I actually love challenges. I thrive in challenges. So when a fight was made with myself and Errol Spence, I took it as, the biggest challenge that could be. And, for me, I look at those big things and small things. So many where you may have saw I was stepped on two ahead of, I was a step or two ahead of him for the majority of the fight. Those who don't recognize that or don't believe that or doubt that, you're wrong. I was a step or two ahead of him the majority of that fight. That's the way he saw the fight. And honestly, I had to go back and rewatch that because that's not how I remember that fight. But I do remember that fight as a very close, competitive fight. I remember that when Errol Spence got the knockdown later on in that fight, that it was going to be a big deal on the judges' scorecards. Now, I'll be honest with you. A lot of people had that fight a lot closer than I did. I scored that fight a bit wider. I had Errol Spence winning 8 of the 12 rounds. And with the knockdown, that means I would have had him winning by 5 points, a whole 5 points. So I didn't really see it as close as most people saw it. I thought it was one of those fights where it was your classic case of precision beating speed. You had the precision of Errol Spence, the calm, cool, collected ability and punch placement of Errol Spence against what I like to call the rugby football player like tactics of Showtime Shawn Porter, and that was the difference in the fight to me. Porter's a fantastic welterweight. He's got a fantastic attitude towards the sport. Is he the most talented guy in the world? No. Is he the best, most talented fighter in the division? Definitely not. But the one thing that separates Shawn Porter from a lot of these guys in the division is that this guy, probably more so than anybody in the division, and I would say most people in boxing, he behaves like a fighter. He talks like a fighter. He acts like a fighter. He behaves like a fighter when the going gets tough. So this is always going to allow him to be a tough customer against any fighter in the division. The only problem with Porter is, while his skills have improved over the years, he's gotten better at boxing from the outside, and it doesn't look pretty. Only problem with Porter is that he doesn't really have one defined skill. You could say, well, he does that extremely well. He does a lot of things kind of good, you know. Now, you know, he's a man of many things, but a master of nothing. That's Shawn Porter. That's why when he fought Danny Garcia, it was such an interesting fight, because Garcia and Porter are like that in a certain way. They have their strengths, but there's not really like one thing you could say they use to set up their strengths. You know, Danny Garcia is an exceptional counterpuncher, but he's not somebody that you would say has a great jab. And Shawn Porter is a guy that likes to mug you, but he's not someone that has the best footwork in the world, or the best jab that to where he can cut the distance consistently. So that's why I always thought that fight was going to be interesting, and it was. You know, it was a fight that could have won either way, because neither one of them had those extra things that put fighters over the top. You know, for Terrence Crawford, he's a fantastic switch hitter, so this gives him an advantage against any fighter he fights. Errol Spence Jr. is an elite body puncher, so this gives him an advantage over most fighters he fights. As to a Porter and guys like Garcia, it's always going to be a hindrance to them when they fight those elite fighters, and that's why, you know, if we look at Garcia, he's come up short in all of his big welterweight fights, and if you look at Porter, excluding the Danny Garcia fight, while he's given a good account of himself in every welterweight fight he's had, because of his character, because of his, you know, mannerisms and how he approaches the sport, he's always competitive, but he always comes up a bit short. Now, I'll be honest with you, I thought Shawn Porter defeated Keith Thurman. I was one of the people that thought he beat Keith Thurman. But it doesn't really matter what I think. It matters what the judges say. And the judges said he didn't beat Keith Thurman. So, with that being said, he's probably just bored right now. He's on quarantine doing these Instagram lives, and people are gonna ask him questions, and you know he's just saying what he feels, because he was in there, and obviously he's gonna think he won the fight. Now, taking him to school, I wouldn't go that far. In the first couple of rounds, he did do a lot better than people thought he would do. But as the fight went on and Spence settled into a groove, I think he really began to figure out Shawn Porter and have his way with him. And you know, does he deserve a rematch at this particular time? Not really. You know, he's got I think he should go and get some big wins at welterweight and position himself to do that. But I have no doubts that he would take a rematch if push came to shove, and the rematch was offered to him. So who knows? Maybe Errol Spence can't get any of these fights against Manny Pacquiao or Crawford, or you know, any of the other big name PBC welterweights. And maybe Porter might be his only option, and we might be resorting to seeing Shawn Porter versus Errol Spence too. We just don't know what the future holds. But Shawn Porter did not give him no damn boxing lesson. And you know, I thought Spence won pretty clearly. But you guys can let me know what you think. When you watched this fight, what did you score it? And you know, do you think Shawn Porter would do better in rematch? I think he'll do worse in a rematch, because I think that first fight was the best account of himself he can give against a guy like Errol Spence. You know, or who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Spence isn't the same guy after that car crash, and maybe Shawn Porter could use those rugged, you know, rugby player like tactics and wear him down. We don't even know what kind of fighter Spence is, but if Spence is anything close to the fighter he was when they fought the first time, and he applies himself in the gym and whatnot, I see him actually getting the job done and folding Shawn Porter up altogether and stopping him. But that's just my opinion. But leave your comments down below. I want to know what you guys think about this. Make sure you take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.